From the very beginning, Nadia's life was shaped by quiet dreams and unshaken hope. She was a young woman with a tender heart, born in a small village but determined to rise beyond her surroundings. When she met Boumediene, a handsome and ambitious man in Lagos, she thought her prayers had been answered. He promised her love, stability, and a life filled with possibilities. And for a while, Nadia believed she had found her forever. Marriage came quickly, and with it, a new life in the bustling city. The streets of Lagos were noisy, filled with the scent of roasted corn and the cries of street vendors. Yet inside their small flat, Nadia felt safe. Her heart overflowed with joy when she discovered she was carrying their first child. When Jalen was born, Nadia's whole world shifted. She held him close, whispering prayers over his tiny head. To her, he was not just a son, he was her miracle, her reason to keep pushing forward in a city that never slept. But as Jalen grew, Nadia began to notice something was different. At 2 years old, he still did not speak. While other children ran to their mothers with bright laughter, Jalen sat quietly, rocking back and forth, his gaze fixed on things no one else seemed to notice. Sometimes, he would laugh for no reason. Other times, he would scream endlessly, unable to explain what troubled him. At first, Nadia brushed it aside. Every child develops differently, she told herself, but deep inside, her heart grew heavy. By the time Jalen turned 3, whispers had started in the compound. The neighbors, always watching, always ready to talk, began to murmur. "Have you seen Nadia's boy?" one woman asked another. "He doesn't talk, just stares like that. Something is not right." Madame Fola, the self-appointed queen of the compound, added fuel to the fire. With her loud voice and sharper tongue, she declared, "That child is not normal. Mark my words, there is something strange about him." The gossip spread like wildfire. And though Nadia tried to shield her heart, the words pierced deep. Worse still, Boumediene's patience began to fade. He would come home from work, tired and irritable, only to hear Jalen crying or see him withdrawn. "This is not what I signed up for, Nadia," he muttered one night. "Other men have children who run to greet them, children who talk, who laugh. What kind of son is this?" Nadia's chest tightened. She wanted to defend Jalen, to explain that he was just different, that he needed love and patience. But Boumediene's eyes had already grown cold. And so, what began as whispers outside their door soon crept inside their marriage. The woman who once dreamed of a happy home now lay awake at night, listening to her son's quiet humming in the dark, praying desperately for strength. For Nadia, motherhood had become both her greatest blessing and the heaviest cross she had ever carried. But little did she know, the storm had only just begun. The days grew heavier, and the nights longer. Nadia's prayers felt unanswered as Jalen's silence deepened. In the compound, the whispers had turned to mockery. Children pointed at Jalen, laughing when he flapped his hands or repeated strange sounds. Mothers pulled their little ones away, warning them not to play too close. "Stay away," Madame Fola would sneer loudly. "That boy will infect you with whatever spirit troubles him." Each word cut Nadia like a blade. But the deepest wound came not from the neighbors, but from Boumediene. One evening, after a particularly hard day, he slammed the door behind him. His face was twisted with frustration. "I cannot do this anymore," he barked. "Every day, it is crying, screaming, silence. This boy is not even a real child." Nadia gasped. "How dare you say that about your own son? He is flesh of your flesh." But Boumediene's eyes were cold, his heart already far from home. He packed his bags, and with one final look of disappointment, he walked out. And just like that, Nadia was alone. Alone with a boy who could not speak, alone with neighbors who mocked her, alone with rent she could hardly pay. The world outside moved on, but Nadia's world stood still. School brought no comfort either. Teachers shook their heads, frustrated at Jalen's lack of progress. "He doesn't fit in," they told her. "We cannot help him here. Maybe you should find another place." But what other place was there? Nadia barely had enough money for food. One afternoon, Nadia arrived at school to find her son standing alone in the corner of the playground, his shirt torn, his eyes wet with tears. A group of children had surrounded him earlier, mocking him, calling him names strange, broken, cursed. When Nadia tried to comfort him, Jalen only rocked back and forth, humming softly, his small body trembling. That night, as Nadia held him in her arms, her tears fell freely. "Why, Lord," she whispered, Why, my boy, why must he suffer like this? What sin did I commit to deserve such pain? Jalen looked at her but said nothing. His silence screamed louder than any words could. The pressure became unbearable. Bills piled up. Neighbors gossiped louder. Even the landlord grew restless. Your son disturbs the peace, he warned. If this continues, you and that boy will have to leave. Nadia felt the walls closing in. Her strength was breaking, her hope fading. Yet, when she looked into her son's eyes, she found the faintest flicker of courage, holding his small hand tightly. She whispered a vow through her tears. I will fight for you, Jalen. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I will not let this world destroy you, I promise. Those words became her anchor, but the battle she was about to face would test her in ways she never imagined. Just when Nadia thought the world had forgotten her, help came from an unexpected place. Her childhood friend, Chica, returned to Lagos after years away. Unlike the neighbors who sneered at Jalen, Chica looked at the boy with kindness. One afternoon, she sat with Nadia under the mango tree in the compound, watching Jalen quietly stack bottle caps. You know, Chica said softly, there are children like him, children who don't speak early, who see the world differently. It's not a curse, Nadia, it's something called autism. The word was strange, heavy on Nadia's tongue. Autism, yes, Chica nodded. There are centers in Lagos where they help children like Jalen. It will not be easy. It will take patience, money, and faith. But he can learn. For the first time in years, Nadia felt a tiny seed of hope. Maybe her son wasn't cursed. Maybe he wasn't broken. Maybe there was a way forward. Chica helped her find a small therapy center across town. The first day Nadia carried Jalen there, her heart pounded. Would they laugh at him? Would they send them away? But the therapists smiled warmly. They welcomed Jalen. They encouraged Nadia. They showed her exercises, ways to calm him, ways to teach him slowly, step by step, and for the first time, Nadia felt she was not fighting alone. But with hope came resistance. Back in the compound, Madame Fola grew louder, crueler. She mocked Nadia in front of everyone. Look at this woman, she sneered, running around with her useless child, wasting money on nonsense. Does she not know the boy is bewitched? No therapy can cure a curse. The neighbors laughed. Children threw stones at Jalen when Nadia wasn't looking. Some mothers even petitioned the landlord, insisting Nadia and her boy were a disturbance to the compound. One evening, the landlord himself came with a stern face. Nadia, he said coldly, your boy is causing too many complaints. You must find another place. I will give you 1 month. Her knees almost buckled. Where would she go? With what money? She clutched Jalen's hand tightly as if letting go would mean losing him forever. That night, Nadia broke down completely. She lay on the floor, tears soaking the thin mat. God, she cried, I have tried. I have carried this child alone. I have endured shame, hunger, and abandonment. Must I now lose even the roof over our heads? Jalen sat beside her, rocking gently, humming his strange, quiet tune. For a moment, she felt the crushing weight of despair, like the whole world had conspired against her. But then, she remembered her promise. Her own words echoed in her mind. I will fight for you, Jalen. I will not let this world destroy you. Her body was weak, her spirit weary, yet something inside her refused to die. Nadia wiped her tears, lifted her head, and whispered, if they want to fight, then I will fight. She didn't yet know how. She didn't yet know where the strength would come from. But deep within, a storm of courage was rising, and the battle for her son's dignity was about to begin. The compound buzzed with gossip, but Nadia no longer bowed her head in silence. With Chica's encouragement, she carried her pain straight to the community council. On the day of the meeting, the courtyard was filled with neighbors, mothers with folded arms, men shaking their heads, children peeking from behind pillars. At the center sat the elders, waiting to hear her case. Nadia stood tall, though her hands trembled. Beside her, Jalen clung to her wrapper, rocking gently. Madame Fola wasted no time. Elders, this woman is a disgrace to our compound, she declared, her voice sharp. Her son is a disturbance. He screams, he stares, he frightens the other children. She should leave before she brings calamity upon us all. Murmurs of agreement filled the air. Some nodded, others whispered, but then Nadia stepped forward. Her voice shook at first, but each word grew stronger. You call my son a curse. You call him strange. But I tell you today, he is not a curse. He is my child. He is flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. He is different, yes, but different does not mean less. The courtyard fell silent. She continued, tears streaming down her face. You mock him because you do not understand him. You shame me because I stand by him, but I will not be silent anymore. If you must drive us away, then let it be known, you are driving away a mother who refused to abandon her child. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and then, in a twist no one expected, Chica spoke up. She revealed what many had kept quiet. Madame Fola's own son had struggled in school for years. He, too, had been slow to learn, slow to speak, yet she had hidden it, ashamed, while mocking another woman's pain. The elders turned their gaze on Madame Fola. Her face burned with shame. Her words faltered. In that moment Nadia stood taller than ever. She had spoken her truth, and for once, the compound had no choice but to listen. From that day, the whispers grew softer. Some neighbors even offered quiet apologies. Others, though still distant, no longer dared to mock her openly. But the greatest breakthrough came not from the compound, but from Jalen himself. One evening, weeks later, Nadia was preparing dinner. The smell of palm oil and pepper soup filled their small flat. Jalen, who usually rocked in silence, tugged at her wrapper. She looked down, expecting another hum, but instead, his lips parted. His voice, soft but clear, broke the silence. Mama. The spoon fell from Nadia's hand. Her heart stopped. Tears rushed to her eyes as she fell to her knees, hugging him tightly. Say it again, my son. Please, say it again, Mama, he whispered once more. That single word carried more weight than 1,000 apologies, more beauty than all the laughter she had been denied. And it didn't stop there. Days later, as Nadia was folding his small clothes, Jalen reached for his favorite toy car, the bright one he always carried. His lips moved again. Blue, he said softly. Nadia dropped to the floor, overwhelmed with joy. For years, she had been told he was hopeless, cursed, broken. But here he was, speaking. Here he was, proving them all wrong. Her fight had not been in vain. That night, as she watched him sleep, Nadia whispered a prayer of gratitude. Lord, thank you. Thank you for reminding me that even in the deepest darkness, light will always find a way. The road ahead was still long. Therapy would take years. Society would still judge. But Nadia no longer feared. She had found her voice. Her son had found his. And together, they would rise. Because unyielding, sacrificial, fearless, love had given them the strength to endure. And that love had given Jalen back his voice.